Hey, welcome to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Hall. This is a show where I talk about lots of retro pop culture stuff, mainly VHS. I'm known for talking about VHS a lot, to the point where I wrote a book about VHS, which you can check out now. It's VHS Ain't My Brain, the revised edition. The new revised edition of my 2014 book is out now. You can get that in the links below. But on this episode, I'm going to talk about Trick or Treat. Now, this is a film I have talked about several times before across the history of this channel, and I've talked about it in a major article on horrornews.net. I've talked about it in Scream magazine. I've talked about it in podcasts. I've even talked about it on a special episode of the Straight to Video podcast. I'm always repping Straight to Video. I love this movie. So it's a rock movie, teen horror rock movie from 1986 with cameos from Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons. It's got a great soundtrack by Fastway. It starred Mark Price and Tony Field, and it's a really, really important movie to me because it was one of the early ones I rented on VHS, and I still love it to this day, to the fact where I have quite a few items from it. Now, frustratingly, when I was putting this video together, I couldn't find two of them, so I do have an extra t-shirt, and it's a Fright Rags one with Sammy Kerr, Tour of Songs of the Key of Death, Tour 86 on it, and the other one is a pull-out poster from an issue of Gore Zone, which I did actually find during one of the videos on this channel. So those won't be making an appearance in here. So the inspiration behind this is I only just found out that Trick or Treat is getting a Blu-ray release. It's getting Blu-ray, it's getting a 4K restoration, it's getting the works. There's going to be commentaries, documentaries and all sorts on it. And I just want to get out in the world there how much I love this movie and how much I have always identified with Eddie Weinbauer, the main character in that film. I love the soundtrack. I love the whole aesthetic of it. I loved Sammy Kerr. Yes, the film is not perfect. It had some trouble during being made and some edits that were a bit questionable, in my opinion anyway. But I love this film dearly and I will always, always love it. So I've got some things I want to talk about on here. I'm going to show you just to show how much I love this movie. I mean, the Straight to Video shirt has Sammy Kerr on it. You can't go wrong with that. So I've got some items to show you, and I've also got some digital rarities to show that I've found over the years in various places, mainly Internet Archive, but a bunch of others as well. Now, I do have some interviews in magazines and things like that as well, somewhere in the archive. But today I'm going to talk about some of the physical items and some of the items that I've got on online. So let's take a look at these. So the first one, this is not an original. This is a reproduction, but I love it dearly. So I've got a reproduction of the movie poster as shown, like the album cover. There's Sammy with the pumpkin face that you see in the trailer. What are you afraid of? It's only rock and roll, says the tagline. This is a great poster. This cost me about £3.50 off eBay, and I love that dearly. So the main thing, of course, this has popped up many times on the channel, and it always will. I think this is always going to be with me on this channel, is the VHS tape. So it is Palace Premiere. It's a proper Palace Premiere with a gold case, proper Palace Premiere case. Beautiful X-Rental big box of it, of Trick or Treat. Gorgeous artwork on the cover. We've got, you can see Ozzy Osbourne there as the preacher, and there's Sammy, and there's the scene where he pulls the old lady out of the TV. I love this so much. The tape is still in really good condition as well. This is one of my most prized possessions in all of my VHS collection. Always has been. And while a lot of my collection has now been sold off over the years, even things I really regret selling, like the Video Dead and Neon Maniacs and stuff like that, and Necropolis, this goes nowhere. This does not leave my side ever. So yes, the Palace Premiere VHS tape, absolutely beautiful thing. So, of course, I couldn't have the movie without the soundtrack. So, it was songs by Fastway. There's 9 tracks on it. If you're not familiar with Fastway, it's a rock band that was formed by Fast Eddie Clarke after he left Motorhead. So, if you like any rock music, you may well have heard him somewhere. So, I've got it on CD. The original edition of the CD there. Again, with the album cover artwork on it. No images on the back. Plain old disc there. It was Columbia Records release, plain old disc, and inside the cover it's just credits. It's a bit sparse, it's a bit bare, that one, but it is a beautiful thing, and I've played that so many times. I've also digitized it for various devices many times as well. Along with that CD, I do have the straight-to-video cover of the title track, Trick or Treat, and this was really, really good. This is a really strong cover of it. So originally performed by Fataway, got Jacob AM on lead vocals, Rob Wild on guitar and backing vocals, Johnny Monaco from Enough's Enough on lead guitar, Rob Lane, my buddy from Straight to Video, on bass and backing vocals, and Nat Webb on drums. And it's a great cover version. Do check that out. You can find that on YouTube. Now, the serious stuff, the serious 2 items here. I've got the soundtrack on vinyl on. Yeah, you see the joys of YouTube. There's a ring light. I've got the soundtrack on vinyl, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. I've played this many times, as well as the CD, but this one is more precious to me than the CD. I mean, there's nothing on the inlay there. However, the back cover has some cool stuff on it. So on the back cover, you can see there we've got the images of Sammy Kerr there. We've got Ozzy Osbourne being interviewed as the preacher. We've got another Sammy with the snake. We've got Gene Simmons. We've got Mark Price's Eddie Weinbauer here, and just glorious, marvelous things. And the monster that shows up, which is on the cover art I showed you, but it's I wasn't supposed to be there, and that doesn't sit well with me because that monster wasn't in the original version of the script. It was added later, from what I understand. So yeah, this is still in great condition as well. The vinyl itself is beautiful. Oh yes, absolutely flawless, and long may it spin, and long may it cry out with the strains of songs like Trick or Treat, After Midnight, Don't Stop the Fight, Stand Up, Tear Down the Walls. Even though Tear Down the Walls is like 2 minutes long, and doesn't have a great deal going on in it, I still love it. But of course, the most important ones on there would be Trick or Treat, After Midnight, and Get Tough. I love Get Tough, where he's sorting out the school bullies thanks to the suggestions from Sammy Kerr. Now, my most prized piece of Trick or Treat memorabilia. Be careful with this. This is an original video shop poster, the original video store ad for Trick or Treat, and this is beautiful. I've had it in various frames. At the moment, it lives folded up neatly until Castle Haunt is completed. We're doing some changes to the house, so this is staying folded up neatly for now. But I adore this thing, and I mean, I love the artwork on it. Absolutely adore the artwork. Love that I believe iconic image of Sammy Kerr. I mean, that is just so cool. Very evocative of the era. Very evocative of the character as portrayed in the movie. Now, it's not just those physical items that I have. I do have a few I'm going to show you on over on the computer now. These are things that are scanned out of magazines, and the one thing that is eluding me is either a digital version or the grail, the physical version of the Trick or Treat press pack. I was sniped on one. I saw one once on eBay, and I was sniped on that bad boy, and I've been really upset about that ever since. So I am looking for one of those, and as soon as I see one on eBay, I am purchasing that. Wherever it may be in the world, I need that in my life. So some of these things are found from magazines like Fangoria and so on, and there's some cool stuff in there. So let's take a look at those now. So the first item we've got here to have a look at is the film preview from Twilight Zone magazine, and it's an interesting piece. I do recommend you check this out. You can find this file on the Internet Archive. If you look for Trick or Treat Twilight Zone, you can find this file on there. It's an interesting report that takes into account how rock music was seen back in the 50s up to present day, well, say the present day up to the 80s, taking in things like the PMRC, the issues that the PMRC had with a lot of rock music and so on. So it talks about this movie being a $3 million film based on an idea by Rhett Topham, but they say it might set rock music back about 32 years. This is not a particularly positive piece about the movie, but you know, you take it how it is. I love the movie dearly, and I'm not going to stop loving it because someone slags it off in something. It's something very dear to me as a fan of genre cinema, and in particular this particular movie, as I think I've said plenty. But the second page, there's some lovely stills here. We've got Eddie Weinbauer when he's using the powers that Sammy's granted to him. He's able to make the fires come out of the pumpkins when the bully comes to his house. We've got a crazy promo shot of Sammy Kerr there, and the report continues with a shot there from the ritual that Sammy carries out in the early scenes of the movie. So there are some complaints in this piece that the movie, it's like a horror movie without much horror in it, and it's like clearly an attempt at creating a new Freddy Krueger or Michael Myers, and to a certain extent it was, but it was doing it in something that was very era specific, and I think that's really, really cool. So the next one we've got here to look at, this is from Fangoria. This is a piece called Trick or Treat, doing the horror shuffle from Fangoria magazine. So let's make this a bit wider. So we've got a great grimace there, of Sammy Kerr. I'm not sure where that's from in the movie. It must have been when they're shooting the climactic scene in the school dance, of course, with where he performs with members of Fastway in the background, doing the horror shuffle. So this is an interview with Charles Martin Smith, who directed the movie, which is a lot more positive. Talks about it being like a Dino De Laurentiis movie and the inspiration with it and the making of it. It's a lot of fun. You know, there's a shot there that was taken out of the movie. There's so much going on around this movie that makes it so fascinating to me. The stuff that was removed, I hope gets put back in when the Blu-ray comes out. I'm definitely going to be checking that out when it arrives. I must have a copy of that, maybe even two. So beyond that page, it goes on to carry on about the making of the movie, the inspirations behind it. You've got Eddie there again, and it's just a very dear, marvelous piece. There's the maquette, the practical effect of the monster in the car attack scene, and on the cover, which we saw earlier, and when fully lit like that, it looks a lot better. Somehow it doesn't look as great when it's in the dark, but it's an interesting one here. This was there's a nice maquette there of one of the guys. Wow, what's that? What scene's that from? I wonder if that's from when the face is emerging from the speaker or something like that. I'm not sure. I have to revisit this. So he's saying there that we probably got about 45 minutes of material out of Ozzy. No way that's all going to get into the movie. Ozzy's only in it for about 3 minutes or so, but it's really memorable. And that's why, because it's got Ozzy Osbourne in it and Gene Simmons, that's why they ended up on the covers, because they were by far more famous than the people in the movie. No offense to Mark Price, who I'm really, really fond of. So there are elements of horror, there's comedy, there's teen stuff in there, but there is a little bit of satire as well going on there, just of the whole outcry around metal at the time. There's even at the start of the movie, there is when it's announced that Sammy Kerr has died in a hotel fire, there's even a scene where he is carrying out basically what Dee Snider from Twisted Sister did when he was up against the PMRC and outclassed them at every turn. Do look that up. That is a great video on YouTube. That is a fantastic video. So that's a nice piece from Fangoria. And the last one I've got here is this extra piece from Fangoria, again by Will Murray. When Fango first heard about Trick or Treat, our reaction was yawn, another Halloween rip-off. After all, what can you expect from a film that stars Mark Price from Family Ties and is directed by Charles Martin Smith, best known as American Graffiti's Terry the Toad? But when we heard that Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Part 2's Michael Murphy and Joel Sasson were producing from their own script, not only that, they had dragged in along Kevin Yeager, I forgot about that, the man behind Freddy's new look, to do the special makeup effects. It suddenly sounded interesting. So it is something that gets a bit of a mixed bag of reviews, this film. because it's not hardcore enough for some people, and it's not as comedic as enough for some people, but I think it gets it right. I do think I am totally biased towards this film because of the young age that I saw it at, and its subsequent effect on me with the soundtrack, and a lifelong experience of identifying with Eddie Weinbauer as a person. Oh yeah, it is that. So oh, they were shooting the scene where he comes out of the speaker as Sammy, so that's cool. As Gene Simmons as Nuke, the radio DJ. That's a cool one. That's a cool one. To be honest, that looks like Dizzy Dean Davidson, the original frontman of Britney Fox, to me there, or someone from Wasp. You know, it's great. I love it. So it's an interesting movie for any fans of 80s rock or 80s movies. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. I pretty much guarantee no one's going to get as obsessed with it as I am, because I am a sad old dork that completely obsesses over these things. And yeah, honestly, this movie isn't taking up far too much of my time than it should. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. I often think that I should write a book about Trick or Treat, or you know, just keep bigging it up, because I want to change the perception of this film. It's fun. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it in every way. This is also available on the Internet Archive, and it does have the final page of it there. Why do American magazines do that, where they finish something like at the back of the magazine instead of just finishing it where it was? I never understood that. This is a really interesting thing. I'm sure there are some more out there over on the Internet Archive or elsewhere that I've not located yet, but I will keep trying. I will keep searching for these things, and I will find that press pack at some point. But the most important thing to me is that Trick or Treat is getting another lease of life thanks to this upcoming Blu-ray and HD release, this 4K release. And I think it's going to be really cool to have a new version of that, and I can't wait to see what the extras are going to be. It's supposed to be turning up later this year, and I'm definitely going to be getting hold of a copy of that, because I'm so excited to see that Trick or Treat getting some love. I can't wait to see what it looks like in 4K with a full restoration. That's going to be really, really exciting. You know, the big ones for me is always going to be like Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, love that movie. Or Day of the Dead, that was one of the early ones I saw as well. But Trick or Treat has a spectacularly special place in my heart, just because of the subject matter is dear to me anyway, and I always connected with Eddie Weinbauer as a character, and I think a lot of us out there can do, and I think that's part of the ongoing appeal of this movie. Even though it was made in like the early 80s, I think it was 84 it was made, and it came out in 86. I think that's right. There's a lot to love still, even now. Yeah, it's dated. Everything I talk about is dated now, but there's still so much to love about these things, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when it comes back. So yes, Trick or Treat. I'm so pleased that you're coming back. Now, I couldn't go without mentioning the trailer. So I don't have a full copy of the trailer saved in my Trick or Treat folder, but there are full versions online in various levels of quality. But this one I found on the Internet Archive, and it's from the opening minutes of the CBS Fox edition of Aliens. Of course, legendary movie. So a lot of people will have seen this trailer back in the day. But it's a nice little summation of the movie and some of the visuals in it. It's just a nice little greatest hits package. And what better could you want for something about a musician than a bit of a greatest hits package? It's only short and sweet, but you know, I love it. I love it. Much like the movie, it doesn't go on too long. It doesn't show too much of the movie. It shows some of the key moments, but it doesn't give everything away. And much like the film itself, it doesn't hang around too long. And it's just a very satisfying thing to have. You can find this over on the Internet Archive, and I used this in one of my trailer compilations that I've made just as a hobby. My video stores out in my brain, and you know, it's just a little precious little extra treasure for sad old dorks like me. Gotta love it. Now, what I am waiting for is Sammy Kerr to do some more tour dates. Come on, Sammy, pull your finger out. It's not like you're dead or something. So that's my little chat about my little stash of trick or treat rarities. Please do like and subscribe if you like this sort of content, because I love making it for you. It's a really, really fun thing to do, and I intend to keep doing it as long as I possibly can. You know, it may just become one day a trick or treat channel, because until the magic day comes where I am granted the opportunity to write Trick or Treat 2, I will do it one day. I've got a great idea for Trick or Treat 2. Until that day comes, I'll keep making content like it for you. I'm Andrew Horn. Please do like and subscribe. I do really appreciate it. Please do check out the revised edition of VHS Ain't My Brain, which is out now. If you like this sort of thing, I put these videos out once a week that are full length, and in the week I put 1 or 2 reviews out. It's like little mini episodes under the name Planet Hex Review Time. But for now, thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Planet Hex.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and validate my existence.